Hey friends, Bill here. How you doing? Well, the team leaders and I just got back from Las Vegas and working on the Super Bowl outreach for 2024, January, February 8 to 11. February 8 to 11. Las Vegas, Nevada is the scheduled Super Bowl outreach. The game, of course, should be played on the Sunday, February the 11th. And then, like normal, we're going to have a arrival on the 8th. That's a Thursday. And then Thursday evening teaching, dinner, and so forth. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, get out and preach. Vegas, it's an unbelievable city. It's probably one of the top 5 or 6 cities I've ever been in for constancy of foot traffic. I mean, that's what I look for, a lot of people. And so how you guys doing, David, Frank? And so it's an amazing place. I don't know if David and Frank have been to Las Vegas, but man, it's a staggeringly busy place. We were there 2 years ago for the NFL draft. I'd been there, I think, the year before, the year after for the before the Super Bowl that was in Los Angeles, and nothing has changed. A lot of people out. I'm telling you, it's a lot of people. You don't need a game to go to Las Vegas and be swarmed by people. I'll just show you some pictures. Hope they'll give it some context. That's where we stood at the draft underneath. You can see the people right there. I don't know if you can see my cursor between the cars. That's the Paris. I don't know. It looks like a big old frame. That's all we need to know. And the some sort of balloon. Anyway, right there's where we stood and preached. And then this is across the street. See that view, that sort of depth of people, the Bellagio hotels on the left, if you keep going straight. And Pat and his team during the draft over there. And so, and so it's just packed like that all the time. It's packed like that all the time. That's the best way to understand what Las Vegas is like. From Tropicana Avenue down where the New York statue is up to the Venetian, whatever they call it, at the north end, it is packed with people. It's an unbelievable opportunity. Heath, thanks so much. We made it back unscathed. So it was a challenge. You run around with the likes of Mark Yoho, Andy Schmelzer. You're always destined to try to get in trouble's always lurking. But man, it's crazy busy. It's unbelievable. That's the balloon. Yeah, this is Pat preaching in the front right. And then you see the balloon. So we were over there. If you look to the right of the balloon, that's a mall. And people come pouring out of that mall down past the balloon and and across the street. It was staggering. I know a guilty conscience, the bed dog barks and all that. Anyway, man, it's just amazing. You got to go. Hey, no excuse. This is to the left of where Pat was standing. You can see on this picture. Yes, Vanity Fair. There's a bridge across the top where some people cross. But I'm telling you, it's just like a smorgasbord of opportunities to preach, pass out tracts. Here's Pat talking to a woman here. It was a free for all out there. It's really actually Las Vegas. When we were out there for the draft, I was very surprised that it really, on visually speaking, wasn't that bad. There's more, shall we say, immodesty in Nashville than there is in Las Vegas, and so there's some guys giving out cards there and so forth. But I don't know what the cards said. They just had pictures on them and stuff, and but there wasn't any. We saw very. I don't know if we saw any police. It was a calm environment. We certainly got along, and no problems with the police. I didn't see them. I saw them in the cars driving by, and we were commenting on that. Like, there's no police, no violence, nothing that you saw out in the street. I don't know what goes on. I think the hotel rooms in that environment's a completely different story. But for us on the street, man, it was easy, no problem. And then some of the guys, I think they're called Gospel Invasion. You guys know the dudes with them. They have the signs, 3 black signs on this pole. I think a guy named Ronnie runs it. They showed up one day and they had the amps turned up to about 11, and nobody said anything. So it's a free for all. Yeah, yes, Vegas, yeah, Nashville. I would say Nashville is much more debauched than on the surface than Las Vegas. But the thing here, man, there's gonna be a ton of people there. There's a ton of people there right now. It was interesting that you never think about it. You roll into a city, especially when you live out in the country or you eat possum for a living like David Day, and you just never think of all the people rolling into these cities just 24/7. And then the way Vegas is set up, seems like a 24/7 town. And so you get in the airport in Vegas, and yeah, I think Caleb there's I think Markel saw Caleb. And so, but you go in the airport, they've got slot machines and all this stuff, and you start to look around. You know why everybody's coming to Las Vegas, at least on the surface. And you start to realize, hey, this place rolls on day after day after day. We're going to go home. And by the time we get there 5 months later, just millions of people have come to that city. So it's an unbelievable opportunity. So I hope all you guys will come out and join us. It's going to be worth it. Of course, we have the usual opportunity to find accommodations that are convenient. And that's what our search is right this second, because unlike Los Angeles or Phoenix, which had a really spread out, especially like Los Angeles, this is all I'm telling you. It's a 2-mile strip, again, like Nashville. And so if we can get there, we can ride the bus up and down the boulevard and go where we need to go. It's very simple. Allegiant Stadium is a couple blocks south next to Mandalay Bay. And so it's 2 blocks off the strip. It's all really, really close. And somebody told us, there was on the website, that the NFL experience is going to be at Mandalay Bay. That means people be walking from there to the stadium, and it's right there. So it's going to be easy. Find a place to stay. Hope you guys will come out. It should be an unbelievable time. These are the team leaders this year, left to right: Andy, Mark, Yoho, Joshua Tubbs, Matthew Redondo, Pat Haggerty. Those guys led teams last year. And then Jim Shaw in the white shirt. Jim is a Presbyterian pastor. He's a friend of Al Baker's. He came to the Super Bowl in Houston. He actually organized and led a group of PCA pastors to preach in downtown Memphis when they had their General Assembly there this past June. And so we even talked about him taking some guys down to the UGA Florida game in Jacksonville. So glad to have Jim on board. That you guys probably know Mason Goodnight is on the far right. So good crew, and man, we're ready to go. Hope y'all will make it. We may have to, I don't know. There's some people, you might have to have an extra chaperone for, but we can work that out. No, I'm not going to name any names, but we had a good time, man. Had a good time. I tell you what, too, people out there are pretty friendly. It's just a very unique situation. So anyway, cool. Let's keep rolling here. Still headed off. If I can find the banner here. London's coming up in 5 weeks. I'm excited. There's, I think, many new people. So a guy named Scott Fine from Knoxville's coming. Gerardo Bear's going from Houston. Ernie and his wife from Canada are going. I think Matthew Redondo is going. Only Ken Heisel and I are going back to London that have been before. So we've got 8 people. And I think a gentleman from the nation of Ivory Coast is going to come up and join us. His name is Jean-Claude. And what I'm going to try to get Jean-Claude to do is to come up there and join us, and then go back to Ivory Coast and organize an outreach to the Africa Cup of Nations. The Africa Cup of Nations is just the biggest soccer tournament in Africa, and they're doing it in Ivory Coast. Ivory Coast and Ghana, those nations speak French. I don't speak French. I don't think they speak much English. So we're going to see if we can get Jean-Claude, if he comes up there, to just organize some guys at some of the games at the Africa Cup of Nations. He said they had guys that already knew how to open air preach there. So we're going to see. Another gentleman, Caleb Dye, asked me if they could, Caleb Dye, he might go to London. I got to follow up with him. So we're rolling on, man. Looking for guys to go. If you want to go, I know that David and Heath would hopefully say good things about it. And it's an amazing place. London is, I can go forever. I was hoping that, anyway, so London's just an amazing place. I talk about it all the time. So if you have the dates, October 6th to 16th open, come join us. Or if you know somebody that preaches and has some extra time, or they can live in Canada or England or Europe, anywhere really. We found a flight for Matthew Redondo yesterday from Phoenix to London for $666 round trip. It was just a one layover place, one airline, Virgin Atlantic. So getting over there should be pretty easy. I don't see the rates. Really going up. I know people talk about inflation, but the airlines seem to be pretty consistent here. Grey Cup. Now, listen, you guys here, Frank, David Heath, you guys can make it to the Grey Cup, and I think David Day Heath needs to come up and get in the cold weather. What do you think, Heath? I think David is getting soft. Have you noticed him on Facebook? I think he's getting soft down there in Montgomery, and needs a challenge. So anyway, the Grey Cup got a great place to stay. Actually, I think there's 4 or 5 guys already signed up for it. Hope to have 20 men up there, and then you'd have to be in Hamilton to see the layout. I guess I could get that map, but in the city where it is, Hamilton, which is a suburb of Toronto, they're going to close off a main street, James Drive, and it's going to be a street party out there for 4 days. This should be a really good opportunity. This should be. Listen, don't make us put you on trial right now, David. We know everybody's been talking about it. How soft you're getting, but we'll save you there. So anyway, the Grey Cup, great spot, great opportunity, 4 days. Another one. Hang on, let me do this. I'm gonna keep asking. Do y'all know anybody that speaks Spanish? I think 4 or 5 people are going down to Santiago, Chile, for the Pan Am Games. I want to bring this up. Getting close. Hang on 1 second. There we go. Yeah, do y'all know anybody that speaks Spanish? Santiago, Chile. Speaking of warm, so you got the other option, David. Warm weather. You would warm it. That's good. So seriously, does anybody know anybody that speaks Spanish? Where some people are going down to Santiago, Chile for the Pan Am Games? It is. I think we've got free housing down there if you can get down there, and I think flights are reasonably cheap in the scheme of things. And about 10 days down there preaching in the city. They speak Spanish. They don't really speak any English. And so I've been down to uh, Mexico City. I love Mexico City. And so Santiago, Chile, though, October 20, November 6. If you speak Spanish, or guys know anybody that does, please send them to me so I can invite them to go down. Or if you know any missionaries down in South America or even Central America, I'd love to contact them and see if we can get some people going down there. Typically, these cities like this or just have a lot of people in the downtown area. They ride the bus. There's a lot of foot traffic, and it's a great opportunity. You know, Mexico City, where we went 2 or 3 years, right there at the it's a big art building in the center of the city over by the Revolutionary Plaza. The whole city wasn't this way, but right there, the 6-8 feet sidewalks, 6 to 8 foot wide sidewalks, or 6 foot wide, they seem to be filled with people everywhere. There's a park close by, so I imagine it would be great in Santiago, Chile. Do you know any guy? Body speaks Spanish. Heath, while you're there, I was going to ask you since you're on the phone here. What about the Democrat committee next year in Milwaukee? Are you going to do something for that? As the Republicans are coming, are you going to organize something? You want to organize something for the Republican National Committee in Milwaukee? And then the Democrat convention is going to be in Chicago. We really ought to try to plan something for those places. It's probably pretty raucous. Anything else you guys want to chat about? Y'all are definitely chatting today. David, give us the latest on your potential move. You want to type anything in there to share with anybody? Yeah, he says yes. What? How many days is it? 3 days? Do you know? Do you know? not sure moving is the right word. I think probably more like being run out. Don't let me say anything like that. Seriously, Heath, can you hear me? How many days is the convention? Do you know? And then October, the last thing to chat about is the Circleville Pumpkin Festival, which is the October 18 to 21 in Circleville, Ohio. And the Circleville Pumpkin Festival is coming up October 18 to 21. Joshua Richards is running that. So check that out. Should be a good crowd. It's supposed to be like 400,000 people all coming to Circleville to look at pumpkins. So that's another great opportunity we have. He does a great job up there. Everybody enjoyed that. And then maybe the last thing or so here is that Heath is kicking off his Keep Your Finger in the Text fall workshop. So you may believe starts October the 3rd, talking about the Gospel of John. Heath, anything you want to say about that right now? We'll see. I'm not sure if there's a lag time or anything. Listen, friends, lots going on. Plus, Alex Burton is doing the Sports Fan 1000 every week, catching up on the football games each weekend. Man, there's already a ton of them. We actually preached at the Las Vegas UNLV in the football game at Allegiant Stadium this past weekend. And so, man, it's up and running. Upsets, these guys are these sportscasters. They sort of lose their minds about all this, trying to hype everything up. And so it sounds like it's up and running. Pro football kicks off this weekend. So if you have a college stadium near you, a pro football stadium, college or pro, and you're not preaching there, give us a call. Let's talk about you preaching there, being part of the Sportsman 1000 program. Really a movement for the football fans to hear the gospel as well. He says about the training, a better way to preach the gospel and from the gospels. Yes, sir, amen to that. He also, does anybody know anybody in India? I'm trying to network with some people there. The Cricket World Cup is there starting in October, and we're trying to find people to evangelize some of the stadiums, some local Indian people. If you know anybody in France, either the Rugby World Cup is starting really September the 8th this weekend. I'd like to find some French-speaking people to go and evangelize at some of those stadiums as well. So a lot going on. Hope you guys are doing good. Heath, anything else you want to say about Keep Your Finger in the Text? Or David, anything you want to share? Frank? Well, a couple more things and we'll be done. For me at least, right here in Chattanooga, this weekend is UT begins its home season, and Lord willing, I'll be up there Saturday for their home game. Let's see what time they've put the schedule here. 5 o'clock this Saturday in Austin Peay, and then this Saturday they play Austin Peay in Knoxville. If you're in the Knoxville area, come contact me. Let's go preach together. That's right. Speaking in tongues, everyone understands. That's right. That's right. That's cool. All right, fellas. Well, listen. Thank y'all for tuning in. Frank's preaching North Alabama tomorrow. Who goes, Frank? Who goes with you when you're out there? Do you go by yourself, or does anybody else join you? Yes, George Whitfield Academy coming up. We need to talk about that. Did you get my message, Heath, about having a training in December? I do want to share this with you. We were there, and I'm waiting on those guys to respond. We were in Las Vegas, and I was shopping for coffee. And look what I found. What do y'all think about that? It says the world's strongest coffee. Finally, we found. Been looking for the world's strongest coffee for years. I'm pretty excited about it. Maybe we can sell the world's strongest coffee, maybe under a different title than Death Wish Coffee in the future. Last Biscuits game, David says. Is it going to be sad for you? Sad time. Oh, Andy Sherrill, cool. Well, all right, man. We'll pray for you and Andy to be out there preaching. Okay, that's right. Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right. Riverwalk Stadium. David's preaching the Last Biscuits game. Heath. Okay. When will you know about Cartagena, Heath? All right, hopefully soon. Okay. Listen, man. Hopefully y'all keep praying for David and his journey here. Don't want him to get off track. We need to pray that he finds something to do with his afternoons and not the usual thing. All right, friends, listen, come join us somewhere. There's a lot going on out there. If you live across the country and you want to, you're looking for somebody to preach with, you know, we all know people across the country, praise God, or Frank or Heath or David do, and you know, all the guys we know other people. So if you're trying to get out and preach for the first time and want to get started, contact us here, send me a message, and we'd love to connect you with somebody if we don't live close to you, or put you in touch with somebody having an event, these kind of things like that. So that's our mission here, to get men out there preaching the gospel. So if that's what you want to do, that's what we're here to do. We're here to support you in every way possible. In fact, that's really kind of the theme of the Super Bowl this year is we haven't come up with an exact title, but how does it work? Like the life of the evangelist, preaching the gospel. How does it really work at the end of the day? I mean, I think that's something that everyone begins to ask a little bit. How does this unfold, and how do we do it, and how do we interact with the local church and so forth? Lots of significant questions begin to pop up once you get into this work. And since that's what we're going to talk about this year at the Super Bowl. See, Frank, and try to answer some questions, because what we want to do is to present kind of a roadmap. I mean, the roadmap is the same for everybody, coming to Christ, preaching Christ. But the way the road unfolds, is the turns of it are going to be different. And so what we are seeking to do here is to talk about both interacting with your local body, local church, because that can be a problem for various sundry reasons, just the nature of humanity. And then also we're going to present some bios of some men who are very fruitful in their gospel open air preaching ministries. And so hopefully come up with a picture whereby everybody sees, hey, I see how this unfolds. I see what men have historically done in this gospel preaching open air world. I see what guys are doing today. And so someone comes into this world and they'll begin to see how their life will begin to work. As we talked about this weekend, I think this is, you know, at least for me, relatively helpful. But like anytime you go into an industry to work, I mean, if you just need to get a job and I want to work, that's one way to do things. And that's a lot of the way life works. But if you have some options, if you want to be an engineer, you want to be a teacher, a physician, a coach, a pastor, these kind of things, once you get into it, you see that there's lots of ways to fulfill those roles. And within those categories, there's lots of different jobs within those categories. And so, what you would want to do if you could, in let's say you want to be a physician, is get in a place where your interest in medicine is really uh, connected well to your gifts. You might call those aptitudes, and aptitude is not an interest. An aptitude is what you're naturally good at. An interest is something that you personally have. And so connecting your interest with your aptitude within the field really helps you flourish in this work. And so once you see, so you come into medicine, you say, well, I may not be really equipped to be a physician or a surgeon, but I love teaching. So you move in the teacher realm. That's what I'm saying. How does it work once you get into it? And so when you start doing evangelism, there is a essence of how does this work? How does this unfold? Because both on the street and in the church and in your life. So it's pretty interesting. It's how that happens. And it's not complicated, but the environment can be sometimes discouraging for us. And I don't want to sound like a bunch of crybabies, but it can be frustrating, and in that process, discouraging. And people can say things to you that aren't necessarily true, and then try to get you to not preach. It's just a myriad of things. So we're trying to say, how does this work? Trying to put a realistic expectation on it, and then give some historical examples as well, so that you can really give your heart to the work. At the end of the day, we're seeking to encourage you to give your heart, soul to this work, but because that's what it's going to take ultimately when you get into it. It's so I think what happens is that we come into this with a lot of zeal. Things happen, it cools us off, we lose heart, and we quit. And so I think one reason we lose heart is unrealized expectations. Things happen, like I said, that we don't expect. And but if you know that's coming, then you're going to put the pedal down and go for it. And I think this is a common situation in life when all of us are challenged in whatever we're doing to put our heart into it. I mean, the great commandment is to love the Lord your God with your heart, soul, mind, and strength, which is really an admonition to love God with everything you have. It's not an expectation of results per se. It's just give it all you got. And so, right, so giving your heart and soul to this is really just language for put your life into it. That's what it's going to take. And you've got to understand the reality of this open air gospel world to do that, so that you don't, again, encounter situations that don't go like you would think they would, and get frustrated with. You know why? For two reasons. Why do we not want to quit? One, because of the glory of God in Christ. We want him to be preached. We want his name to be made famous. And the other is, frankly, the sinner. If you quit, the sinner's not going to hear. It's not like there's 500,000 people out there preaching on the street and 500,000 churches out there knocking every door. It's not the way it is. You know, the world needs us out there. And as I said last week, the darkness of the world that we see around us is really a cry to us to come out there. They're telling us, hey, it's dark out here. It's dark. I'm in the dark. I can't find the light. It's kind of one way to look at what sinners are telling us these days. And I'm not saying they really want us to come out, but they're saying that it's dark where they're at. And so to that end, we have to sort of resolve that our mission field is the sinner, and we're going to preach Christ to them for God's glory. And to get to that place, I think you have to really come to grips with the reality of the work that we're engaged in. So that's what we hope to talk about this year at the Super Bowl. So, all right, you guys, David, I know what you're doing. I'm not going to say it out loud, but we're going to miss you. We're going to miss you in London. Heath, thanks for teaching people how to preach. And we hope we can get a bunch of guys plugged in. Anything else you guys want to share? If you're still there. All right, everybody, listen. Y'all have a great day. We hope to see you soon. 423-724-7500. You see my number right there. Call me, text me if I can help. Take care.